Hello, everyone. Hope you all are doing good and keeping safe. My name is Saurabh, and I'll be your host for today. I would like to thank you all for joining us for this week's webinar on the new normal in communications, powered by Twilio and our email partner, HandySense. In today's webinar, we'll discuss trends that we are seeing in the communication landscape, how to use email to engage customers, and how to expedite the time to market using different functionalities offered by Twilio. Today's speaker is Phil Borden. Phil manages global partner marketing for Twilio and has worked with Anderson for over 3 years. He's focused on building relationships and integrations with best of breed technology partners and enhance their use of Twilio SendGrid platform. Outside of work, you can find Phil spending time in the mountains, traveling, or eating any kind of spicy food. Oh, that's great, Phil. Hit me up next time you're in India. We'll go eat that spicy food together.
I look forward to that day.
Yeah, whenever you are here, just hit me up. That's great. And today we are overwhelmed with the kind of registrations we've got. We've got registrations from countries like, of course, India, Philippines, USA, Singapore, and many more amongst others. But then these, and also it was great to see so many registrations coming in from across the world. And before I pass it on to Phil, just wanted to give you guys a quick heads up on a few things to make sure that we keep the webinar at its engaging best. We will be shooting polls at timely intervals. It will last on your screen for 30 seconds. And so I will request you all to be very participative and quick on that one. You'll see the poll appear on the screen with two options. We just need to click on it and we'll flash the results on the very next minute. Second is if you have any questions that you want to ask Phil, you can hit it up under the chat section. Someone from our team will pick it up and pass it on to Phil. If you have any major questions that you think that needs to be addressed, keep a note of it or just push it under the chat section, and we'll pick it up during the Q&A session that we have towards the end of the webinar talk, right? So without taking much time, I'll pass it over to Phil. Phil, over to you.
Yes, thank you so much, Saurabh. And hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me today, and thank you so much for attending. I realize there's a lot of webinars for you to choose from in this current environment, and I appreciate you spending your Friday afternoon with me. I'm really excited to talk to you today about, as Saurabh mentioned, what we're seeing as the new normal in communications, really with an emphasis on email and how to use email in this current situation to really build a differentiated customer experience. And why I'm focused on that today is that obviously the entire world has been significantly impacted by COVID-19 and the current situation that we're living through. And so wanted to provide some information on how building a differentiated customer experience can really be a competitive advantage for your business and to really help engage your customers during this time period. I want to thank Clavent and HandySense for inviting me today to present. And without much further ado, we'll get started. So in this presentation, I will cover some forward-thinking statements, so please be mindful when sharing these externally. Today, what we're going to cover, as I mentioned, is first, what trends we're seeing in communication and how are these impacting businesses and customers alike. And then we'll go into why should you invest in customer experience during this time period, and how can that really be a key differentiator for your business. Next, how to use multi-channel communications to improve that customer experience and why it's really necessary in this modern climate. Then we'll go into why email and why as a channel it's really valuable to engage your customer base. And then we'll go through an overview of Twilio SendGrid as well as HandySense and some of the customers that we've been working with. Now, today, I want to start with a question of how do you feel about your current customer engagement? So hopefully there's a poll popping up now, but really would like to get an understanding for how you're feeling about your current engagement. Like I mentioned, customers and businesses have been significantly impacted by this situation. And so feel free to be honest here because we know that businesses are really feeling this situation.
The results are here on the screen.
Excellent. I see them there. All right, and that's kind of what I figured. A lot right in the middle of 4 to 7, and that makes a lot of sense. And I think we can feel really good about our customer engagement. Especially early, prior to COVID, we may have been operating, very effectively in engaging our customers. But then COVID-19 happened, and it threw everyone for kind of out of the norm. And your businesses had to move business workers remote, and customers had a new way of engaging with businesses. So it's great to see that we're all still feeling confident that we're engaging our customers to a certain extent, but let's talk today a little bit more about how we can improve that engagement. So before I get into that, a little bit of background on Twilio SendGrid in the communication space and really what our focus is. Twilio SendGrid was built by 3 developers that were creating an application. And in creating the application, they realized they had to send email, which when they researched, found out it was a very difficult process to send and integrate email capabilities into their application. And they figured developers are probably having this issue all around the world. So why not pivot our business like good entrepreneurs and really focus on this issue that we've identified, which is sending email communications from the cloud. And we launched our first email API in 2009. Similarly, Twilio was a company that was founded in 2010 with a similar goal of enabling developers to build messaging, voice, and video communications with their customer base. Our 2 companies combined forces in 2018 to really, with a goal of providing a true multi-channel customer engagement platform for customers. What we saw was that customers wanted a single platform to be able to integrate all of the communications that their business needed and have the intelligence on the back end and in their infrastructure to automate some of those communications as well as target customers through the right channel at the right time, which is every business's goal, is to really engage customers when they want to be engaged and through the channels which they want to be engaged. Twilio SendGrid allows you to connect with customers around the globe. And that really is our goal, is to help businesses see customers around the world as your target customers. And we really want to allow developers and businesses to build the email program that your business needs and then continue to iterate and to evolve your customer experience as customer demand changes. Twilio SendGrid processes over 70 billion emails every month for customers like Uber, eBay, and in those sending, we hit over 50% of the world's email addresses every single 12 months. And we do this for over 80,000 customers. Now, this is a small portion of the greater Twilio customer base, which is well over 160,000. But these are ones just sending emails through our platform. So one more question to keep this interactive, especially right in the beginning. What email service providers have you used? And want to use this just to give me an idea of what experiences you've had with email service providers previously. So be honest, and once again, if you've used Twilio SendGrid, great. If not, no worries at all. Understand. Oh, excellent to see. Sounds like we have quite a few users. Looks like we have quite a few users of Twilio SendGrid historically, which is great. MailChimp, which is another great product. So that's great to see. And they do focus on the email marketing side, which we'll touch on a bit. But great to see and excellent to hear that we have some users that have already worked with Twilio's APIs. That'll make it a lot easier to communicate and showcase some of the benefits and what we've seen. So what is the new normal? Obviously, titling a webinar like this during this time period, what really is this new experience that we are seeing within the communication space? So what we've done at Twilio is breaking this down into 3 different steps: respond, adapt, and thrive. And how we view this is more than just a new normal, but it's really a campaign from our business to empower our customers to accelerate their growth through this situation by digital acceleration and using digital channels to create different virtual experiences and digital engagement experiences with their customers. So first we have respond. And this is the knee-jerk reaction that businesses and customers had when the initial quarantine and COVID-19 situation occurred. And this is when businesses had to start moving their workers remote. Customers all of a sudden were not able to go into a store to purchase the goods that they usually would, and had to find other ways of having goods delivered to their home or buying virtual. And so then we've really moved from respond, which was happening in April, May, June even, and then going into adapt, which is really where businesses identified, how are customers now engaging with my business? How do I need to change so that this virtual experience can provide just as much value as when the customer was coming into my door and purchasing goods in person? And so this is really where we saw businesses identify, we need to improve our digital infrastructure to improve the ability to create targeted communications, whether it's through email or through messaging and or voice calls. And obviously video calls as well have been much more prevalent in our lives now, with everyone jumping on regular Zoom meetings. And this is probably your 100th webinar in the last quarantine period. So once again, thank you for joining me. And then transitioning into thrive. And really where we see thriving is in the new normal, when customers now have experienced this new virtual and digital engagement through e-commerce and through purchasing goods online and having them delivered, they now have a new expectation for businesses to be able to communicate to them digitally and without them having to go to the business in person. This also is where businesses can now thrive because they've created differentiated experiences for their customers that really help the business stand out and really drive customers to consistently come back to the business, even when the barrier to purchase, which usually includes driving to a store, is no longer there. So really see this new normal as a way of businesses engaging through digital communications and creating virtual experiences moving forward for their customers and differentiating their business by doing so. Now, at Twilio, we like to wear our customers' shoes. That's one of our magic values. And so what we did was interviewed some of our customers, and we really wanted to get a better understanding for how our customers thought they were engaging their customers. And so we found that 94% of businesses report that they have great communications with their customers. And they think that they're engaging, they're hitting them through the right communication channels at the right time. What they didn't know was that we were interviewing their customers. And what we found was that 96% of their consumers didn't agree that the business was communicating to them through the right channels at the right time. Now, this provides an opportunity. Businesses could say, well, I'm communicating through every channel that I have available, but we know that that's not a good motto to have, and that the customer is always going to drive how the business should be engaging with that user. And what we have found is that customer experience is key to differentiating your business during this time period, even more so than it was prior to COVID and everyone having to be virtual and remote when engaging with businesses or even with colleagues and friends. So having that ideal customer experience and building that through multi-channel communications can really help you set your business apart and create a competitive advantage so that customers will consistently come back to you, and you can build brand loyalty even if you're not having a face-to-face conversation with that end customer. Now, what we've seen, customer experience really is the perception of how a consumer interacts with your brand digitally and in person. It's every touch point that they have with your brand. And a customer experience should minimize friction and maximize the speed and efficiency, but at the same time needs to maintain that human touch, because people still do want to be connected with the businesses that they are purchasing from. These perceptions ultimately lead to customer loyalty as well as repeat purchases. And what we have found was that 86% of customers, done by a third-party survey, wanted to purchase from customers or from businesses that provided an improved customer experience, and really includes engagement through brand interactions and creating that virtual experience that makes customers still feel connected even though they're purchasing online or through a different method, whether it's being delivered, instead of having to go into the business to have that human engagement. So one thing that I always want to ask customers here is, what is your CX strategy? And this isn't a poll question, but just something to think about internally. And also, do you have someone in your company that is leading this effort who's thinking about customer experience on a daily basis? Because customers are engaging with your business in an evolving way, and it's changing weekly, monthly as quarantine shifts. So we really want to have businesses focused on this consistently and have someone really trying to identify if the customer experience needs to change and needs to be evolved as the situation does. So how does your CX measure up? So when you think about this, are you happy with your customer experience and where it stands right now? Because really, this is a huge barrier to gain customers during a time of quarantine where no one really can go into a business and see the products in front of them. And if you do not have a good customer experience, customers may not find your product at all. With searching online, there's really limited barriers to purchase, and customers are really going to be the ones driving which businesses are successful. And from the previous slide, as I mentioned, they're going to be choosing businesses that have a customer experience that really does engage them. So you can identify your customer experience by looking at your customer satisfaction or analyzing your conversion and churn metrics. But what we have seen is that businesses that have an omni-channel customer engagement and really focus on this see an increase of 10% year-over-year growth, also a 10% increase in average order value, and 25% increase in close rates. So just by minimizing that friction, making it an improved experience, you can increase and grow your business during this time period and really create that competitive advantage. The other thing we want to ask here and think about internally is, do you know your customer or your competitors' customer experience? Have you gone through your competitors' purchase flow to get an understanding of where your experience stands in the market? Because if your competitors are providing a better virtual experience for their customers, the customers may shift over to purchasing from them. Once again, as I mentioned, there is a decreased barrier to entry and to purchase. And so customers are going to spend their dollars with businesses that are positioning and providing a valuable customer experience at every touch point. And that's really a key thing, is every touch point that you have with a customer, even when it is digitally, it needs to be consistent and have the same brand voice and communicate value to that end customer. Multi-channel communications now are really required for an improved customer experience, and businesses need to focus on multi-channel and omni-channel experiences now rather than just simply engaging, excuse me, engaging and communicating with their customers. Now, with everyone having a cell phone, we have access to multiple communication apps, and there is, as we know, been a surplus of communication applications and tools created to help engage people through mostly their cell phone. And so creating a valuable customer experience that hits on the channels that a customer wants to use when they're accessing their phone is essential to differentiation. Now, what we've seen is that even in the surplus of channels that are coming out and being created, email and messaging still are the preferred channels for customers to engage with businesses. And that's really important because business to consumer communication is really what this survey was focused on. And this is where email and messaging, and I believe obviously WhatsApp in India is a very prevalent communication channel. So we can probably include that one in here, but really are the main channels that you want to use to engage your customers, because that's what customers want to engage with the business. And that's really where we have to lean on the customer preference to drive how we communicate with them. Because if the customer is hoping to experience and receive an email and we receive a text, it may not provide the experience that they're looking for. And 75% of consumers said they reward businesses who cater to their preferences. So once again, this is going back to that customer loyalty, to repeat purchases. If you're engaging customers through the channel that they mentioned they want, you're going to see that increased loyalty and see customers coming back. So now, what communication channels do you currently use to engage your customers? I know I just mentioned a few, and I probably left a ton off that you may be using, but social, email, SMS, WhatsApp, what channels are you currently using? That's great to see. All right, so we have a lot of email and we have a lot of WhatsApp, which makes sense. Excellent. And as I mentioned, messaging and email are really complementary products as we view them. And we include SMS and messaging products such as WhatsApp, since WhatsApp is a preferred messaging over SMS, I believe, in India. And so what we're really seeing is that email and SMS and messaging complement each other very well, because customers want to receive different types of communication from your business. Some are urgent, some need to be more referenceable. So for more urgent communications, things like severe weather alerts, appointment cancellations that need to be heard immediately, order delivery confirmation, so there's not a package that's sitting at your door. We want those communications to ping us immediately, and so that we have an immediate alert and that we can take immediate action. On the other side, we have communications from businesses that we want to reference later. We may want to store them, we may open them, but then not engage or take any action until a later date. And these communications are things like promotional deals, appointment confirmations, weekly, monthly newsletters, account activity reports, things that customers want to go back and have in their file cabinet, in the email file cabinet, as I like to call it, and really engage with that maybe at a later date. But they want to reference it. And so they want to be able to search through their email account to identify the email that they're looking for and then take action. So what we do see is that while SMS and messaging for those urgent communications need to go out, on the email side, you're really looking for, is this a resource that this customer will want to reference in the future? And if it's not, then maybe it is better to be sent as a WhatsApp message or an SMS message. Email is a proven channel and preferred channel for communication. And what we have seen is that based on customer preference, 83% of customers prefer to receive email from businesses. And this is a global study, and it may differ from country to country, and I understand that. But what we've seen is that when customers interact with businesses, they do want to refer back to it. And rarely do they want to take immediate action. So a click through an SMS on an ad and then immediately purchase something, that definitely does happen quite a bit. But that customer may not be ready to buy right now. And so they want to re-engage with that email at a later date. And so it's sitting in their email folder to reference and bring back up. And with email, you received detailed analytics. Whether you're sending email marketing or transactional email, you'll be able to see opens, clicks, also the geolocation of the customer that's engaging, as well as the browser that they're using as well. So you're really able to get some segmentation and get a better understanding for what tools your customers are using by looking through the email analytics. And what we've seen is for email marketing campaigns, an estimated $42 return for every $1 spent. And this is actually an increase from previous years where we were seeing $38 for every dollar spent. So in this time of digital communications and the increased need for that during quarantine and everyone being remote, we're seeing an increase in the return for sending an email marketing campaign, which is excellent news and also great for the business because sending email does tend to be less expensive than sending other types of communications. So now, how do we adjust email programs during COVID-19? I think that's a question a lot of businesses had to discuss internally. During that adapt and that adapt phase, as well as the react phase, where we were saying, how is business going to go on as normal? How do we engage our customers? And should we be sending a lot of communications to our customers? Is that what they want to hear? Or should we not communicate because there's obviously a lot else going on and we don't want to get our message lost in the noise, which has definitely happened for a lot of businesses. So the first question I always like to ask is, should you send an email? And I realize that this is a little strange coming from a communications company to say, should you send a communication? But really what we have seen is that unless the communication is adding value to that customer's life and providing them something to take action on, we really need to maybe hold off and limit the noise that customer is experiencing because they may not want to hear from your business right now. So we want to be timely with those communications and make sure that we're communicating when the customer wants to hear from us, not just when we want to communicate to that end customer. Next, we need to look at the sender and subject line. If there is something that this customer should care about that is relevant to them in the information that is provided in the email, we should pull that information up and put that in the sender subject line or pre-header to call that out. Because what we want to see is when we're filtering through our emails, which we've all received a ton of email communications and messaging communications lately, we want to have the relevant info to call that customer to click and open. If it's not relevant, they'll just keep scrolling through. Next, we want to adjust our brand voice because the brand voice that we may have had historically was in that current climate. But now with everyone moving digital and having a virtual experience or limited in-person experiences, we need to adjust our brand voice to show to customers that we care about what they are going through as well. Because customers have been, as I mentioned, significantly impacted, not only in their finances, but in their day-to-day lives and how they engage with businesses, how they engage with friends. And really, our entire lives have changed pretty drastically over the last couple months. So showing as a business that you care about your customer and where they're at is really important and to really helping them gain loyalty and have a good opinion of your brand. Next, we want to focus on action. We want to provide this customer a simple way and a simple engagement and a call to action to have them engage back with our business. We want to have this be very specific so that the customer knows exactly what it is being asked of them. And if there is an opportunity for them to receive a discount or something like that, we want to call that out immediately. We want the customer not to be searching for what they should be doing, but rather have it spelled out in that email so that they're, once again, clearly communicating with that end customer, or sorry, with that end business that they're purchasing from. And lastly, we need to be ready to adapt. As you heard earlier, Twilio SendGrid is really focused on helping developers build the communication experience with email that they want. And what we're seeing is that customers, through the changes that we're seeing in quarantine, consumer behavior is also changing. And businesses need to be ready to adapt to those changes as they occur. So customers one day may want to receive a lot of communications from your business, and the next, not so much. So we need to be able to adapt, make those changes so that the communications that are going out to customers are still what they want to hear and when they want to hear from the business. So why is it so difficult to build a seamless email experience? With deliverability issues, with infrastructure outages and throttling, email can also be painful to manage and expensive, having developers and engineers focused on managing servers that are, once again, just powering the email communications for the business. If you're not being able to reach the inbox and not having email delivered, that's going to make it very difficult to engage that customer. What we like to say is a lost email or an email that doesn't get delivered really is a lost customer. If that customer does not feel communicated, they don't receive their email receipt, they're very quick to move to the next business to purchase, because once again, there is very limited barrier to switching in this current climate. Next, with outages, you need to make sure that your email infrastructure can handle the scalability and the growth that you may experience and really grow with you. And that's really where cloud elasticity and the scalability of a platform really should be a key factor, because one day, in May, you may need to send 10,000 email messages. However, in June, you may need to increase that level to 100,000 messages. And you need to have an email provider that can grow with you during that time period. And next, you need to have an email service provider or a partner that really manages everything for you on the infrastructure side so that you can focus on building that differentiated customer experience. Because if you are focused on building the customer experience and managing your email servers or your communication servers, you're gonna be spread very thin. And really trusting the infrastructure to experts and to companies that are focused on that can really help your engineers focus on advancing and building solutions for your end customers. So what issues have you experienced with email? I saw that a lot of people have used Twilio SendGrid, so be honest. If you did experience issues with Twilio SendGrid, do want to hear about those as well. But other issues that you've experienced, please let me know. All right, it seems we may be having some issues with the poll on this one. And that's okay. We can just keep moving on.
No,
that. Okay, are we good,
still
Sarah?
the poll is going on.
Okay.
I'll just share the results.
Oh, great. Deliverability, poor customer support, lack of flexibility, scalability. Those are very common problems to experience with email. And we do see that with your customers needing to scale, needing to have emails delivered, because really having a healthy email program is difficult. So let's get into that. Why is email difficult? It's because it's very complex. First, you start with a human element. You have email content and a sender in a business that needs to collaborate on what message and what content they want to create to send out to the end customer. As we all know, this process can take quite a bit of time or happen overnight. And so really, the email content that you're creating is going to drive if that email is delivered. Is that email relevant? Is this content that they want to hear about? All of those factors need to be taken into consideration when crafting and creating that email. Next, you go into the actual email handling, which is where Twilio SendGrid or an email service provider will come in. From the outbound mail servers, from DNS, DKIM, DMARC, security checks, from inbox service providers, really looking at the security around your email, but also looking at your domain reputation, looking at the preferences and the unsubscribe options that you have available to your customers, and allowing those customers to disengage and unsubscribe from your email. Then you have the inbound mail server, and then you go through authentication, reputation, and then at that point, the inbox service provider like Gmail will decide whether or not your email is good enough to reach that end customer's inbox. And if that end customer requested to have that email delivered to them. And so that's where we see blocked spam, which all businesses have experienced an issue where they're landing in spam. How do you fix that? It really is by improving this entire process. And that's really why having a healthy email program can be difficult, is that just because your email is not delivered, it may be an issue with any piece of this puzzle. And so really what we want to do with our customers and our partners is look at each aspect of the email program and looking at security, looking at domain reputation, and then also looking at the email content that's being created, because that is going to be a key driver as well. So the Twilio SendGrid difference, how we like to frame it, is on three things: deliverability, scale, and expertise. With deliverability, we aim to provide high inbox placement rates, and we have a presence on global community and global committees like MOG and ESPC that really drive the regulations around the email industry. And while this doesn't give us preferential treatment in terms, it does give us a heads up on what is coming down in terms of regulation from Gmail and from Yahoo to make those changes in our systems earlier. Next, we have a proprietary MTA. Also, we offer sender authentication, DKIM, and what we now offer a partnership with a DMARC company as well. Scale, as I mentioned earlier, we're processing over 70 billion emails per month. So having customers that scale to millions of emails overnight is totally fine. We have a fully redundant infrastructure with industry-leading reliability to provide customers. And on Cyber Monday alone, we sent over 4 billion emails in a single day, and our infrastructure was not impacted. And the median speed of delivery was 1.9 seconds for 4 billion emails. To say the least, we weren't expecting to send 4 billion on that day, but thankfully our infrastructure was able to scale and handle that reliably. Next, you have the customizable APIs and SMTP integrations so that developers can build the solution that they need to scale. And then expertise. We have 24/7, 365 support. We also offer customers in India local support through Handy Networks, which really does provide that improved in-time zone experience. And we have over 100 email delivery experts on staff, best-in-class engineers and support teams, just to help navigate this email and complex email programs. And then the security features with 2FA, SOC 2, GDPR compliance, so that our infrastructure is at least going to be compliant in sending communications. However, that really the onus is on the business that is sending communications to adhere to GDPR and SOC 2 compliance when sending email communications through, but the infrastructure will be compliant. So Twilio SendGrid has obviously grown, and with 70 billion emails per month, we've been growing pretty quickly. And so from 2009, when I mentioned we were founded as the first email API, this previous May, 2020, we hit 3 trillion emails. And when this email was sent out, I had a hard time comprehending what 3 trillion even looked like in terms of emails. And it only took 464 days to process another trillion emails after our second trillion. So as you can see, we've been growing quickly, and that scalability and the reliability that we're providing customers is enabling them to trust us to send more of their communications through our infrastructure. So as businesses, we really want you to build the solution that you need. Really, when it comes to the Twilio SendGrid, our goal is to provide developers the tools that they need to design the custom experiences that their business needs to deliver to customers, whether that is augmenting their current solutions and adding email or adding in Twilio SendGrid email to augment a communication channel, or to rip and replace an old solution from on-premise to cloud. Really, that reliable scale, once again, in sending 4 billion emails, the fully redundant infrastructure, the proprietary MTA that detects throttle risk and protects your reputation, and then also having the API set and the compliance and the place on the boards to really help improve the customer experience on the back end, so that all the things you don't need to worry about in sending email, and you can really just focus on building that solution that you need and communicating and engaging with your customers. So now let's go into an actual customer example. It's great to hear me speak, but let's actually talk through a customer lens here. And Zillow Group, which is a real estate software in the United States, I believe they're expanding, but primarily in the United States, had a clear vision. And their vision was to send the right message on the right channel at the right time. And I'm guessing this is a vision that a lot of businesses on this call have had. But the question really is, how do I do this? And how do I communicate with my customers through all of these, with hitting all of these metrics, which can be very difficult. The issue that Zillow Group was experiencing was that their existing communication system was not enabling them to make this vision a reality. The infrastructure was outdated. It was not reliable in delivering their email or communications. It wasn't able to scale to their size. Zillow Group is a company with a 14.57 billion market cap and millions of customers. And they needed to have an email service provider that could scale with their business during this time period and really make this real estate purchase and buying a really good experience virtually, which most times as home buyers experience, you go in person to view a home. And that's really where you get to know the home. But now, in terms of limited in-person meetings and in-person tours, as a real estate company, Zillow had to pull this entire experience virtual. And they had to engage with customers and help them make one of the biggest purchases of their lives while completely digital, which is a very difficult task to have on your plate. So the 3 main challenges for Zillow was gaps in customer communications, and they were seeing a negative impact on their CSAT and conversion rates during this kind of transition. They were experiencing unreliable deliverability. As I mentioned, they scaled pretty quickly, and they weren't seeing their communications being delivered. And then they had fragmented data insights. Obviously, to be able to send through the right channel to the right customer at the right time, you need to have the insights and the analytics and the AI on the back end to drive those decisions. No business has the time to analyze every single communication channel and make decisions based on which channel we should communicate. And so really using the insights and analytics provided by the platform to drive those decisions is really necessary. And Zillow wasn't seeing for that from their current provider, so they weren't able to actually reach their clear vision. They needed expansive reach, which with millions of customers and a growing business, they also needed multiple channels and to have the confidence in that provider, since their entire business is driven now by communications to help customers purchase their first home. They needed to have confidence that those emails were getting delivered to that end customer. And they needed to improve customer data and how they were able to target their customers by pulling data into their CRM integrations. So they were able to use our API webhook and pull all of that customer data that they were seeing from their emails and pull that into their CRM integration to really help drive their communications moving forward. Now, having one seamless customer communication platform that offers omni-channel engagement transforms the way we interact with our customers. And I included this quote because it really does summarize how we want each customer to feel about their communication, that they have the power to transform the way that you interact with your customers by building solutions that you need, not the solutions that we think you need. So we provide the APIs, we provide the infrastructure. The business then builds the solution that they need to engage their customers, because in this time period of changing customer demands, as well as each country and continent even being impacted differently by this situation and being at different stages of that, the new normal, whether you're still in the adapt or if we're now moving into thrive. We want to be able to have customers really feel that they can trust Twilio SendGrid and the infrastructure that they have to continue to iterate and build on that process to deliver that end customer value. So Zillow Group used text and email marketing to communicate with their end customers. And they were able to send image-filled email digest and current home listings and SMS alerts as prices go up and down. So once again, we're seeing the two channels really complement each other well. First, we have image-filled email digests that customers may want to reference back to. They may not read the entire thing at first glance, but they want to have all of those homes that Zillow has recommended in their email folder to be able to go back and look through. But they do want to be alerted if a house that they want to purchase is going up in price. That's something that they want to hear right away in case they do need to take immediate action and maybe purchase a home today if it's the one that they would like. But having those immediate communications allows them to not feel like they just lost out to someone else that was bidding on the home because they didn't hear from Zillow Group in time. Zillow wanted to make sure that that customer had that had the advantage by receiving that communication immediately. And what we saw in their ROI was once we eliminated fragmented data insights by having a single source for customer insights and data, they really were able to improve their ROI in what they're seeing through their normal communication. So just in those email and SMS communications, they were able to see an increase of their ROI and engagement from their customers. And here are the results. So they saw 100 times more likely to convert leads through SMS and voice when the agents responded within 5 minutes. So once again, that urgent communication going out to a very engaged customer who's looking to buy their first home, they saw 100 times increased conversion on that. And then with email, they saw a 13% increase in traffic to their website. So customers were now reading through these image-filled email campaigns that they were sending and digests that they were sending that were personalized to them based on their home preferences. They were able to increase their traffic 13% to their website during this time. Twilio SendGrid does this for customers all around the globe. Just to name a few, here we have Nextdoor, Booking.com, Spotify. We've also worked with Uber, Paytm, and Flipkart previously in India. And so really, we do work with companies around the globe to improve their communications. And once again, what you see here is a lot of technology companies and a lot of companies that are looking to build modern communication experiences. With Spotify needing to send music recommendations based on what you listen to and not necessarily what they think you listen to. And so pulling in that data to send individual recommendations and playlists that you may want to engage with and bring you back to Spotify. Booking.com, very similarly, using email to create digests and have properties listed with images that really do provide then great customer and user experience while looking through these properties in making the choice at what they want to go on their next vacation. So with Twilio SendGrid, we provide one email platform for businesses to use. At Twilio, we do have, and I want to make sure I call this out, we do have availability for video, voice, WhatsApp integrations as well. But really, the one email platform that we provide to businesses really does help engage through the email channel. And so we have the email API, which is really built for one-to-one or one-to-many, depending on how you use the API. And this is really where we support businesses building that solution that they want. So using our APIs and our SMTP integrations to create the customer experience that they want. Your programmatically initiated delivery and having the transactional or promotional that are running through this. So I do recommend that businesses create the email marketing tools that they want. We do have a marketing campaign product that is great, and it really is helping deliver one-to-many communications in a very personalized way. You're also looking at sender UI initiated delivery, so you have a easy to use WYSIWYG or side-by-side editor. You also have a code editor available to you there to really create email campaigns that look professionally done, but in a very quick time period. We also have templates that are available for customers to use in sending marketing campaigns. And I did see we have a lot of MailChimp users. So really how we differentiate from MailChimp there is in the scalability and the reliability which we help you grow your business. So with MailChimp, they are a great product for sending out to a smaller email list. But as your businesses grow and scale as you hope, really needing an email service provider that can scale and grow with you. So then on the supporting side of this, we have, as I mentioned, the expert services and account management and support, and our local reseller in HandySends that's able to provide that expert integration experience as well. So to give you a little bit, just a quick overview of the Twilio platform as a whole, email is obviously one portion of the products that we offer, but really the back end of the Twilio and Twilio SendGrid products are our super network. And this is really where we have our MTA as well as telephone numbers around the world to be able to connect customers and businesses regardless of where they are, geography, through wherever they're located. There we go. And then on top of that, we have our channel APIs. So whether you're needing to send SMS, email, video, WhatsApp, or Facebook Messenger. And then we have the intelligence layer, which is really built to provide that automation and the AI in making those communications intelligent. And then we have the solutions that we have built with Twilio Flex, which is a programmable contact center, where you're able to create the contact center and the customer experience you want when there are issues for your customers. And marketing campaigns, which is a one-to-many sending service that really is quickly build a great looking email campaign and send it out to a targeted list of customers. So as I mentioned, I'm here thankfully by the invite of HandySends, who's been a premier Twilio SendGrid partner since 2018. And we partnered with HandySends because they had cloud experience and expertise in India, and they were able to provide local support for our customers there, which, being a US-based company, time zones do play make it difficult for sometimes to get the local support that you need. So we partnered with HandySends for tier 1 and tier 2 support, but they do have escalation to support engineers and Twilio SendGrid experts to make sure that all customer issues are resolved. You're also able to purchase in local currency so that you can purchase in rupees or US dollars. And then integration expertise. HandySends has helped thousands of customers to integrate Twilio SendGrid into their tech stack, and having those experts just to help you understand what you can design and what you can build with your email solution is a great way to get started. So I do recommend that you reach out to HandySends. Madhu Kiran, who is a business partner, is on the call right now, and will definitely provide his contact information after this. So if you are interested in learning more about how to build that email customer experience that you're looking for your business, this is a great place to start. But thank you so much for taking the time to join me today, and happy Friday. I hope you have an excellent weekend, and that this content was valuable for you, and that it helps provide a little bit of a different perspective as to how you can create a differentiated customer experience to really help benefit your business and really help grow your business through digital acceleration coming out of this time period. Thank you so much for having me, and look forward to any questions that you have.
Thank you so much, Phil, for the insightful session. We got to know a lot about the challenges being faced by the industry and how to leverage the platform in general to make sure that to fill the gaps in the communication in the current system. And we thanks a lot to all the attendees who took out time on a Friday evening, especially in these times where we're managing office and work, or the life between the work and offices are so tough. I mean, this is the time when everyone wants to like get off work and get into the weekend mode, and that's where we caught them at the right time. And we thank all of them for attending this webinar. We have a couple of questions, Phil. I'll just
Yeah.
I'll just put it in the chat section. You can pick it from there so that everyone can take a look at it. So one question is, the question is, I use a branded ERP software, which I cannot customize at this moment to send the transaction, email, and invoices. Only allow us using SMTP server code and authentication. How do I integrate your email program into that?
Yeah, great question. And so it sounds like it'd be a great opportunity to, this would be more of a rip and replace. And what we see is that you're using kind of an inflexible email service provider, and you can augment and start sending email through Twilio SendGrid. So what I would recommend is discussing with HandySends and looking at how you can augment your current email program so that you can migrate some traffic over to the Twilio SendGrid API and build that solution that you need, but still maintain the communications that are going out through your current software. And that is one thing, a benefit Twilio SendGrid can provide based on API programmability, is allowing you to augment rather than just rip and replace. And so we want to make sure that you're able to still send email communications, but at the same time, you start improving that experience. So then we have how HandySends is different from SendGrid. So HandySends is a reseller of SendGrid and is a local reseller for email. And they are different only in the fact that they're located in India in a different company. So we do recommend working with HandySends if you want that local support and local currency, as well as the integration expertise that they do provide. How does SendGrid stand out from SES? Great question. So SES is what we like to describe as it provides great building blocks, and it's a good service, but really it's one of 300 products that Amazon offers. And the level of support as well as the reliability that we have seen from customers that are using SES, and we've had a lot of customers that will leave Twilio SendGrid to SES because it's cheaper, and then realize that their emails are not getting delivered, and that they're not able to scale as they want or grow as they want because they're locked into a certain type of package with SES. So what we usually see is customers will go because of the price, but then they'll come back because of the scalability and the reliability of the program, because really email is only beneficial if it's being sent and delivered to that end customer. Will HandySends API work with iOS or Android applications? Yes, it will. Can you do marketing automation on SendGrid? So marketing automation is something we offer through our marketing campaigns tool through SendGrid. HandySends does not have the ability right now to offer automation. It's something we are working on with them. So please, once again, reach out to HandySends for any questions there. What I do recommend is building those automations that you would like. I realize that is a little bit more time intensive than just purchasing a software solution for that. But what we have seen is when customers build the solution that they need for their business and continue to iterate, it really does help own that customer experience versus working in a software solution.
Great. I think, that's all the questions that we had, Phil, for the day. And so I think we can probably, as we are also touching the time, we can probably move towards the end of it. So really want to thank you, Phil, for taking out time so early in the morning to address all the attendees, whom I would like to thank again for joining in on a Friday evening from different parts of the world. So thank you all. Thank you everyone who joined in today for this great session. Want to thank Twilio and HandySense for making sure that this happened, and we can probably address this this gap in communication or the different best practices that we can leverage during this times. So thank you all. Thank you everyone for the time. It was nice session. See you again next time. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Saurabh. Have a great day.
Yeah.
Happy weekend, everyone.
You too. Bye. Bye. Great day. Thank you.